Welcome to Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. My name is Brandon Bornancin, a serial salesperson and entrepreneur, and I'm sitting down with the world's best sales experts to share their top secrets to sales success. Hello and welcome to this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. And I am thrilled, honored, humbled, and grateful to have with me today Rob Jeppsen. Rob is the CEO and founder of Xvoyant, which is the world's #1 sales improvement platform. Rob is also a keynote speaker and the host of the Sales Leadership Podcast. He's a well sought out sales coach, serial entrepreneur who has received over 15 Stevie Awards for sales excellence since 2007. Rob has been a sales expert nominated for Sales Team of the Year, Sales Coaching Program of the Year, Sales Training Curriculum of the Year, Sales Process of the Year, Sales Director of the Year, and Senior Sales Executive of the Year. Rob speaks at over 100 events each year, which I want to learn about and get coached on. He's got 6 course training series and has successfully been taught to over 900 businesses. He also received the Salesforce Surfboard Award, which is for the Salesforce user that best used their technology for winning new business. Rob, holy cow, man, what a background. Thank you so much for joining us today, my man.
Hey, super stoked to be here with you, Brandon. Love what you guys are doing at Seamless. Super pumped to be part of this initiative you're doing, gathering all of these top things from badasses around the world. I mean, what an honor to be part of what you're doing. Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
And we're grateful to have you today. And the audience, just to set the stage, the audience is dying to know 2 things. Number 1, sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. What is your top sales secret? But before we get into that, the audience is also dying to know, Rob, how did you get started in sales? What's your background? Where have you worked? And then what are the successes and failures, which we call micro secrets, from every place that you worked in sales that have helped you level up to do the next sales gig? And then you learn sales successes and failures from there, called micro secrets, that helped you level up, which lead into our top sales secret. So without further ado, man, tell us a little bit about you and where you came from and how you got started in sales.
I'm not that different of a story, Brandon. I mean, it's awesome now. We're in a world right now where there's a lot of schools that you can go and you can actually go to college to get a degree in sales.
Yeah.
And that's
awesome. What I did. I went to OU and did that.
I'm jealous. I wish that I could have done that. Back when I'm an old dude, man. But when I went to college, they thought sales was a class. That wasn't a profession. It was just a class. And then you go get in sales until you get your real job, right? And so I graduated in marketing. I thought I was going to get a marketing job, and I landed as a starter in sales, and I found out instantly I loved it. So the first thing about me, Brandon, is I am accidentally involved. Okay. Accidentally involved in sales, but intentionally successful.
So when you say accidentally, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, people are like, well, you're this kid right out of college. The only job I'll give you is I'll put you on a low salary deal. Let's see if you can sell stuff and you'll make commissions. And I thought, okay, I want to be a marketer. I better learn how the customers and how the market responds. What a better thing for me to do than go eyeball to eyeball with customers and learn what makes them want to buy. And so that's what I mean by accidentally involved. I didn't plan on being a salesperson. I thought I was going to be in the NBA, and then that dream went away really fast. And
the NBA, that's awesome. What team did you want to play for?
Oh man, I grew up Showtime Lakers guy. Magic Johnson is still my favorite.
Sick, dude. And, I'm a huge LeBron James fan, and I love the player. I don't love the team. So I'm pretty stoked that he went to LA.
Yeah, I'm a Showtime Laker. I still will argue with anyone, and I'll be right that Showtime Lakers area that was the #1 team. Awesome. Even though Jordan got him at the end, he didn't get him in the Showtime era. And if that happened, it would have gone the other way, brother. Trust me.
Dude, I love that. So you accidentally get into sales.
I fall in love with it.
Are you now? Did you go to school? Do you live on the West Coast, or where are you from?
I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I grew up in Idaho. My dad's a Hewlett Packard guy.
Sweet. Was he in sales too?
No, he thinks he's failed as a father that he has a son that's in sales.
Yeah.
And he was an engineer. His claim to fame, he is on the team that invented the original LaserJet printer for Hewlett Packard.
Oh, no way. That's so cool.
It's super cool. So he's super smart. I do like the math stuff. And he built a chalkboard in our basement for the purpose of teaching me how to do calculus. And I was like, Dad, I just want to know how to do it. This one problem. I don't need to know how the theorem came from.
Right. You're like, dude, I just want to pass the class. I just need to pass the class. I don't want to do
math ever again, except for counting how much commissions I'm going to make. Right.
Yep. Yeah. That's so awesome. And I mean, what's cool is like engineering is, dude, sales is like engineering, if you really break it down. So that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, our Thanksgiving is interesting because I always say, Dad, your laser printer is worth nothing if a salesperson can't sell it. He says, if you don't have a product that works, you run out of things to sell really fast. So we have that kind of a dynamic.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So, okay. So you become this accidental salesperson. Where was the first place you worked at?
So I went to a software company. I had a friend get me a job. Here's the other thing that's kind of interesting. I got to represent my school at a national competition as a senior. EDS, Ross Perot's company, has this big corporate challenge. And my college, Brigham Young University, invited me to go represent them. And we won this whole thing. And it was interesting. I beat the other 40 schools. They have a case competition. And we won. Think of all the biggest schools you've ever heard of. We beat them all. And instantly they started recruiting me for customer-facing type jobs.
What type of competition was that? Was that like a debate?
Yeah, it was a case competition. So EDS had a consulting division, and they got one of their actual customers. They didn't tell us who it was, and they took the problem they were working on for the customer, and they turned it into a contest. So they give you a little bit of information, and then they have people on their board and their employees like pretend to be, you're the vice president of sales, you're the vice president of this, you're the vice president of marketing.
Got it. That's
and
cool.
So if we then had access to interview those people, and if we asked right questions, we got more information. And my mentor ended up being my mentor. He was the university professor that went with us to make sure we didn't get in the paper for the wrong reasons. And trust me, there was plenty of that going on with 40 schools with teams of 4. Everybody was more interested in the hot tub party than winning it. That was what was different. That's me. Now you're getting into me. I said, we are here to win a freaking competition. I can find people wherever I want to find people. I want to win this. I saw it as this opportunity to say, how do I compete against other people from all across the United States? And I wanted to know, how do I stack up against Michigan's number 1 person? How do I stack up against the Ohio State's number 1 people? How do I stack up against Texas? You name it. They were all there. They're top 40 schools. And so we asked better questions. We put together, and our strategy, you'll like this. Let me tell you how we won that.
I was about to say, what's the secret to winning this thing, man?
He said, figure out, goes, don't figure out how to solve the problem. Figure out who the customer is. Figure out who the real customer is. And if we can figure out who their real customer is, then we can go get information that nobody else will have. And we used our questions to figure out really who the customer was. And then we got everything about those people. We got their public filings. We got what they failed in. We got what they won in. We got everything. And we made a whole presentation around, don't ever do this because it'll fail. And they're like, holy shit, these guys were right. We tried that. It did fail. And instead of do these things, we tapped into the initiatives that they had evidence were already working. And we used that to win. So we connected to their current priorities, which leads to what we're talking about. And that was my introduction actually to why I said, I was planning on going to law school. I was accepted to Columbia Law School.
Oh, wow, dude. That's a great school too.
Yeah, I was accepted to Columbia. I thought that's where I was going to go. And when I went and I won that competition, they said, why would you go to law school when there's thousands of attorneys and you don't know if you'll be the best? We think you're one of the best incoming students that we've ever seen, and we want you to come here. I didn't go there. I said, I'm actually going to go to a young company where I don't have to go through political bullshit and hope that I can get somewhere. I want to go, and I actually said, this makes me probably an asshole, and that's okay. When I started interviewing, they said, tell us why we should hire you. I said, I'm the number 1 draft pick. I said, you got a number 1 draft pick. I said, you have a chance to draft Michael Jordan. You're looking at him. And I said, don't trust me. Go look at what I've done here. And winning that was a massive thing for me and how I looked at it. I said, I don't want to go work for EDS or any of these other companies. I want to get in the game faster. I don't want to be on the sideline. I don't want to be, holding clipboards. I want to be freaking on the floor in the game, making it happen. And so I chose a career path early where I would get a chance to have more responsibility, and sales was the one that gave it to you. If you can sell, you get to sell, Brandon. If you can get people to buy, you are rising fast. Nobody cares how long you've been with the company. They care, right. Can you connect with customers? And I found very quickly that not going to law school, not being a marketer, not doing those things, doing what you and me are doing, looking eyeball to eyeball right now and connecting to what people value, the sales job becomes fun. Those early customers in my first sales job are still some of my closest friends now 20 some years later.
Damn. So the micro secrets from this competition was one to get involved. And when you say the case competition, is that is a marketing case study or like a sales case study?
It's a business case. So actually, let me tell you who won. So I'm glad you find it. I don't want to so they had a marketing student, a finance student, an HR student, and a systems student. And they had a team.
Got it. Yeah. It's a business case competition type of thing.
So this will tell you what it was. This will tell you how long ago it was. So it was the mid 90s. And like I said, I'm a freaking old dude, but the lessons, dude, for this old dog have been good. And I've tried to stay relevant. Here's what we found. When we went and said, who is it? We did all the research. It's pre-internet, by the way. So we had to
Impossible to do research, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was super cool how we found it because EDS had this really interesting library. It was the first video on demand company. It was called SpectraVision back then. That's awesome. So it tells you how long ago it was. And so they had this idea of will video on demand be meaningful? And so we put a whole business plan together on why you should be in hotels and the business case for hospitals and places like this where anyway. It was,
that's awesome. And the reason why you won was because you went so damn in depth with the sales discovery and the sales research that allowed you to customize the solutions to EDS to win.
You got it. And so it was awesome. I mean, it was my first big presentation too, Brandon. That was the other thing. We had to present to the board of directors for EDS. And I'm a college kid who's never done shit.
Dude, the board of directors are for the audience, if you don't know who the board of directors are, these are like the chairman, the investors, like the executives, like guiding this company. That's insane.
And so then you win. They have 40 schools. They had their Final Four. It was like the NCAA tournament. And so we got to the Final Four. And then on the championship day, all of the teams and all of the leadership team for EDS and the board of directors, they sat in this massive auditorium and we had to do our presentation and we won. And
That's so sick. Congrats, man.
I was like, it was like, this is what I want to do.
And then you pitched them to hire you, right?
They tried to hire me. I told them I didn't want to work for a big company. I said, I want to go work for a smaller company. They were surprised. They said, wow, everybody comes to this because they want a job with us where we'll get you in front of people, big companies fast. And I said, if I'm going to give up on law school, I want to do it because I want the opportunity to get involved in something faster. And it wasn't that I was impatient, but it was I wanted to maximize every cycle. And this was another really good piece of advice that leads to
a micro secret.
Yeah. One of my definitions of me is I believe you should do epic shit. Okay.
I love that, dude. And, I may put that on a banner on one of my TVs here. Do epic shit.
Do epic shit. That's how I live my life. And I feel like nobody was born to be average. And too many people say, hey, I'm better than average. No. Better than average. I mean, we got X number of cycles, Brandon. You have this many cycles. And I love how Gary Vaynerchuk says, what motivates him is you're going to die. I relate to that because you have this many cycles.
Yeah.
And so in your professional career,
that's what I always say. That's what I always say. Like, that's the thing that keeps me up at night. I'm worried I'm going to die not hitting my potential, and it freaks me out.
Yes. So an early mentor in my career. So I win EDS. I say, I want to do epic shit. And I don't feel like going to EDS is epic enough. And I'm just like, is it epic? Is it epic? And I'm like, it's not. Work for somebody small that will give you a chance to do stuff that nobody else in their first year out of college is going to get to do. That's what I wanted to do. Wow. And I wasn't of the mindset, start your own business yet. And I'm mad at myself because I didn't bet on myself early enough. Like, if I could go back in my hot tub time machine and be where you are, I would freaking bet on myself sooner, not later.
That's so awesome. Yeah, that's great advice. Another micro secret.
Yeah, it is. Here's what my other mentor told me. Rob, you have X number of cycles in your professional career.
Okay.
How you use them matters more than you think. Because when you get a third of the way through, half of the way through, I promise you, if you don't look back and say they were intentionally used, you'll be pissed off at yourself.
Damn. So that made you just really dig deep, like, okay, I've got this short period of time and I got to make the best of it every day.
That's right.
That's awesome.
I went to a privately held software company. I thought, tech's where I want to go. And I didn't know anything about financial institutions. I knew I wanted to be involved in technology. I was raised in a technology world. My dad was an inventor over at Hewlett Packard.
HP, yeah.
So I was surrounded by technology, again, not like today, but I was around it. I watched, my dad tells a story of how he went to build Hewlett and Dave Packard with a few other guys and had this idea of a printer that would sit on your desk. That's
so fucking nuts and awesome,
nuts,
dude.
Right?
That's epic shit. That's doing epic shit.
Yes. And you know what Dave and Bill told my dad and his colleagues? We are a mainframe computer and a calculator company. We don't see printers sitting on people's desks. And so they had to go back to the drawing board, and ultimately they won him over. And that's what moved us from California to Boise, Idaho, because the Boise printer division is where he ran R&D for them. So I was surrounded my whole life of, we're going to invent things and do things that haven't been done. So I was of that mindset that I want to do epic shit.
Dude, that's amazing. So the company that you went to, so where'd you head to?
So the name of the company was Sterling Wentworth Corporation. And the reason I went there was they had this needs-based financial planning software. They were working with the biggest financial institutions in the world. And here's what had happened. A couple of financial institutions, it's public, so it's not going to, I don't sell to them, so who cares anymore. But Prudential had sold to older people financial planning stuff that was better suited for younger people with a long time horizon. They put old people in high risk financial planning deals, and they were losing their money as they were getting ready to retire. Okay. And so there was a massive lawsuit. And so this company responded to that. It was the first, it's not AI, it was called Expert Systems. And we build systems that will tell the customer and the financial advisor what are the right things to do so we can A, get them in the right thing, B, cover our ass so we don't have any more big lawsuits, but C, sell more stuff. And so, right, C, sell more stuff.
I love that.
And
sell more stuff.
Yeah. And so what I love about it was I was dropped into a world where we were actually optimizing salespeople, and I didn't even know it. I just knew that I heard here in Utah, there was this cool company that had this crazy thing called Expert Systems. And I had a chance to go do epic shit with them. So I didn't know anything about financial institutions. I'd never sold financial planning. I certainly was a young dude that didn't have a net worth worth planning for yet. And I sold myself into a job. I heard that, I had a friend tell me they had an opening. I went in, they said, we only hire experienced people because we're selling complex stuff.
Oh,
but
wow.
I left with the job. And which leads to, Brandon, if you're the inexperienced dude that's never sold, which territory do they give you?
Probably the worst.
The shittiest. You ready to hear what it was?
No, what?
New England minus Boston and New York City.
Oh, man.
You don't get New York, you don't get Boston, but you got that northeast corner.
It's brutal, and it's cold in the winter.
And I live in Utah, by the way, so I'm traveling all the time. And they said, oh, and by the way, nobody has ever sold a deal faster than 6 months. And so you're on very little salary. I was married, just got married. My wife was like, I want you to make more cash. She was a drug rep. She's a badass salesperson as well, by the way.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, in fact, every President's Club trip I've ever been on is when she won for me. And
oh my God, that's awesome! I love that. My fiance is a super lawyer, badass. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I got my first deal in 4 months. 4 months.
Really? So you beat the record of the 6 months or longer. Who'd you sell and how'd you do it?
A Hartford life insurance company.
Okay. And they were like one of the biggest life insurance companies, right?
Yeah, they never bought from Sterling Wentworth yet, and I had this small account list. If you think about it, I have to sell to insurance companies, brokerages, and banks, and I don't know anything about them, and all I think is they're boring. Well, what's interesting is things that you think at surface level are boring are never boring when you dive in, and that gets me into what I think is one of the really most important sales things I learned early in my career is I went in there, and the way I got these guys is I found what they prioritized, Brandon. It was like simple stuff. But instead of me going and saying, let me tell you about this expert system that would be boring as shit, I got these guys to say, can you share with me what you're prioritizing? I had a few questions. I got good at questions. And I found the right guy. He shared his priorities. I aligned how we do things to meet his priorities. And 4.5 months later, we had them inked. I'll never forget it. They flew out to Arizona for a meeting. We went and met him there with the contract and said, sign it while we're here. They freaking signed it while we're there. Hopped back on the plane, walked in, dropped it on my boss's desk, said, how you like me now?
How you like me now, dude? That's so awesome. So it sounds like that was another, like a repeated micro secret, like deep sales discovery. And then when you say aligning with priorities, so like if I tell you that I need to 10x sales and we're down in revenue, or like do you have any examples with the Hartford Insurance Company where like, what did he say? And then how did you align that priority? Like, just so the audience understands what that means.
Yeah. So the question that I had to ask him was, so they all have these field sales reps. They're everywhere. Hartford's trying to compete with everyone. They have these people all across the country.
Like agents, right? All over the...
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Sometimes they own the agency and sometimes they're independent agents.
Yep.
Okay?
Brokers and then the independents. Yeah, I got it.
And that drives different questions that you ask. You with me?
They're totally different audiences too.
You got it. And here's the thing that I love about what I learned from this, Brandon. It wasn't that I was a subject matter expert at this stuff. In fact, me being the dummy is why I won, if that makes sense.
Dude, it totally does. Because like you're asking questions that probably may seem obvious if you were a SEME, a subject matter expert, but instead you just asked it and got answers. So
the guy who was in charge of equipping the field sales team, I got my way into him, and that a lot of that's just hard work and intuitiveness and initiative. And I've got a really big thing that I'll share with you that I think really goes with this do epic shit and work ethic and network and initiative, ingenuity. I used ingenuity and I got in front of this guy. I wasn't because I was smart. I just figured it out, bro. And
when you say ingenuity, what does that mean? And what does that mean?
That you figure out ways to win. You just figure it out. Ingenuity is, give me a playbook and I'll learn what you want me to do. But ingenuity is, how do I do stuff that's not easy? How do I do stuff that's not average? Remember, my whole mission, Brandon, is I don't want to be average. In fact, I remember when I held my oldest son in my hands, when he came out, my wife, I was the first one I looked at him, and I had this overwhelming feeling. This dude is not here to be average. Make sure you teach him, do not be average. Whatever you do, I don't care.
Why are you so motivated? How'd you get so motivated?
I don't know. I just think that average is a curse, man. I just feel like...
I mean, I feel the exact same way, dude. I feel the exact same way. And I think like... I feel like I know, like my dad taught me to not fear anything and to just take the shot. Like, even if I fail, it's okay. So I feel like he instilled that in me when I was like 15, which is why I'm that way. But why are you like so hungry to not be average, so motivated? Like, where do you have any, like, where does that come from?
My mother, if you asked her, she would tell you that I came out looking to fight with someone. It came out looking to beat somebody in something.
Okay.
And nice. Honestly, I hope it sounds like an asshole when you say that. I'm not.
No, but I mean, like you were like getting after it all right, like at an early age, just getting.
And I hate losing. I guess that's the other thing. I hate losing so bad.
Okay.
I hate it, Brandon. I freaking hate it. And like I remember, like the games. I played basketball all the way through college, and I remember the games we lost. And I remember when I was young. I remember those things. And like in a ping pong game. One of my worst memories ever is when I was in the school ping pong tournament. I was good at ping pong, and my freaking little brother in the finals beats me in front of the whole school. I haven't stopped thinking about that.
You guys both made the finals and he beats you, dude. What? That's brutal.
And so I don't know. If I'm playing you in checkers, I want to beat you.
Yeah, you're just super competitive in whatever you do.
And if I'm gonna do it, then my favorite 3 words, I have 3 words that have helped me do epic shit. In the world of do epic shit, there are 3 words that matter, okay?
Awesome.
And then some. Do what the company asks and then some. Do what the customer expects and then some. Do what the playbook says to do and then some, okay? And
I love that, dude. I love that.
If you add and then some to whatever it is you're doing with those limited cycles in your career, you have these cycles. Whatever you choose to do, be epic and do it and then some. And I just believe one of my favorite things it's old, it's black and white. I love the video of President Kennedy saying, we're going to go to the moon. Okay. And he's like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to freaking go to the moon, bro.
That's so sick.
And he didn't know how to do it.
So
and he's like,
sick.
well, we run to hard things. So here at my culture at Xvoyant, one of our cultures is we run to hard things. The fact that it's hard interests me. Okay.
Yeah, it entices you. Like,
yeah. So, beating someone, beating my 6-year-old son in one-on-one isn't epic. But I let him stay close, but I don't ever let him beat me. If you beat me, you freaking beat me. I don't care who you are. Right.
Yeah. You don't like giving it to him just because it hits the wrong stage.
But when I'm in your city sometime and I stop by and say hi and we hit the Seamless ping pong table with your logo paddles. And if
you saw this.
Yeah. And if you beat me, bro, it's because you beat me.
Dude, my guy Blake is so good and he whoops my ass. I hate it because I beat everyone in the office except for him. And like, I'm like, dude, what do you practice every day or something, man? Like,
exactly.
But I just want to figure out, I'm like, okay, well, how do I do the spins? How do I do this? How do I get over that? That's awesome, man. So when it comes to, I mean, you got to find the guy in charge. You got to align priorities. You got to use ingenuity. How do you do stuff that is not average and come up with new ways to just make it happen is what it sounds like. What was next after, that company?
So Sterling Wentworth got acquired by SunGard Data Systems. And, and SunGard came in and it was this mind-blowing eye-opener to me. So I was like, very quickly I became one of the top guys. And they ended up giving me Boston. I was like, you're going to give me New York. And they're like, we probably will never give you New York because New York.
How many people are at this company at Sunset?
At Sterling Wentworth, we had, now it's a long time ago. That was 1998 when we sold the company. I think they sold it with 130, 140 people and probably 15 to 20 of us in sales.
And then, what was the company that bought it again?
SunGard Data.
SunGard.
Yeah.
And then how many people?
SunGard's a big publicly traded. SunGard's people. SunGard's thousands of people.
So you joined this team with thousands of people, and then you quickly became one of the top reps?
No, I quit as soon as they acquired us.
Got it.
Because I wasn't going to be epic enough. I was going to fall through the cracks. And
it was going to be the political bullshit of like a lot of people.
Bro, not me. I made that decision already. So it was easy for me. So half of my stock I had vested. But here was the thing, Brandon. I learned then as a young dude in my 20s, what drove the valuation of that company was what I had done as a salesperson. It wasn't so much the IP. It was we had done whatever our sales were that year, and then it was a multiplier. And then the guys who had all the equity, they told me, thanks, thanks, Jeppsen.
Yep.
And I said, that will never happen to me again. I said,
when you say never happen again, keep going. What do you mean?
I want to make sure that I'm going to be involved in organizations because then most people get the idea that I want to be part of a company getting sold. I experienced it in my first one for one. I picked the right one. They were already pretty far along. They're like a 13, 14-year-old company. They sold it. A handful of people made tons of money. The rest of the people made some money, and they couldn't believe I negotiated equity. When I landed my first deal, I said, okay, I want shares in this company. We don't give anybody shares till I've been here 2 years. That's just the way the thinking was back then. And so I got some. And when that happened and only half of my shares invested, and I was like, I'm trapped here for 2 more years and it's not worth it. It's worth a little money to me, but it's not worth trading and doing epic shit.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
So I left the company and they said, you can't leave because half of your shares are going to stay. I said, I don't care. I'm going to go somewhere else where I'll get more shares and I'll make them because I know I can sell now. Now, you got to remember, in the 90s, the sales profession did not have
the persona it does now.
It doesn't.
The cred. Now it's like cool. Before it's like bad, right?
Yeah. I was a sales guy. And, I didn't have, resources like what you guys have at Seamless to help me get access to people.
Yeah.
Or,
you were doing all that research in the freaking corporate library where you won that case. Yeah. It's like, damn, we could have one clicked and you had everything you need. That's insane, by the way. I can't go back to that.
And so I ended up going to what the company that ended up being known as Omniture, Josh James's company, Omniture.
Hell yeah, dude. I love Omniture.
And
badass company.
Before it was Omniture.
The CEO is a baller. Didn't he leave and he started Domo, right?
So I reported to Josh. I left and I reported to Josh as his head of.
That dude, I tried to study that dude. That dude, how was he as a leader?
Josh is a 1 or a 0. Josh is an all-in guy. And so, what I like about Josh is so focused on the result. Like, that's a guy that's like me. I related to him in the world of, I'm not going to lose. That's a guy, if you're up against him, be concerned, because he will find ways to win. Okay.
That's so awesome.
And it was awesome. There's a lot of good things about it. That sometimes gets in the way of some of the personal side of things with some people, though. And that's where the other side that people have sometimes had a challenge with them. But with me, supporting me and how we sold and how we marketed, it was only good.
Yeah.
And so when I saw the company early on was called mycomputer.com. A lot of people don't know that.
Dude, I did not know that. Omniture was called My Computer.
Mycomputer.com.
And just for the audience, because I'm from digital marketing. So Omniture is a digital analytics platform, right? It was like the #1 platform of its time. And then you guys sold to Adobe?
Yeah, they sold to Adobe, but I wasn't there when he got sold. Okay. And so this is what's interesting.
Okay.
So I get in there and I see, not yet an Omniture. It's My Computer. I'm in there. Things are growing. He's raising money. He's doing awesome stuff in the front end of the internet bubble. I like everything about it, but I have this mentor who's now with me at Xvoyant that says, I got this idea to start this feedback type company, this employee feedback company. And I want you to come run it as a CEO. This company we're going to call Allegiance. And we want to, get feedback from employees and predict attrition with customers. And we want to get, we can predict attrition on employees and attrition on customers. Anyway, I want you to be the CEO. So I start working out the details on that, and Josh finds out that I'm talking to him, and he fires me.
No.
Yeah, he fires me.
So hold on. He found out. So guys, just so you're aware, Josh James, he's an American entrepreneur. He's the founder and CEO of Omniture, which sold to freaking Adobe for $1.8 billion.
Right.
1.8 billion. That's however many figures in 2010, right? Some around there.
Yeah, he crushed it here in Utah. I mean, it was the greatest success story in the history of Utah.
Is that the #1 success story?
It's been passed up by Qualtrics now.
Oh, Qualtrics, yeah. And I feel like Lucid Chart is going to be the next one, but I don't know who else is.
We have amazing tech companies here.
Dude, seriously, I love it. And it was funny. My video guys from Utah, I was just talking to him. I want to see Martin Garrix in Sundance. I was there like last year at Sundance. It's awesome. Yeah, okay, Sundance, so Josh James finds out that Josh, the CEO, finds out that you were talking to like, did you start working on a prototype with this other company, or how the hell does he even find out?
Well, because that's an interesting story. There's a guy that wanted to go with me, and before it was time to quit, he went and quit. He told Josh, I'm leaving, and one of your key guys is coming with me. And
stupid asshole.
Stupid. Yeah, exactly.
Stupid.
He's gone on to start another company, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want to throw him under the bus. I don't blame Josh for being pissed at me. I don't blame him. I'm a CEO, and if I find someone's just staying with me long enough to get it ready so they can leave, just get your ass out now. I would probably have done the exact same thing.
Me too. Get out. Yeah. So you find now, how did you perform, and how long were you at Omniture for?
Just over a year.
Okay.
And yeah, things were great. We were raising money. We were building all kinds of customers, but we hadn't reinvented ourselves as Omniture yet. What happened was they sold all the assets off.
My Computer.
They sold all the assets off. There was all these tools for webmasters. So tracking your Omniture, that whole tracking.
Webmaster, dude.
Yeah, it was.
But half the audience doesn't even know what that means.
Yeah, they don't even know what it is. I'm telling you, I'm an old dude, bro.
Webmaster.
I've seen a lot of stuff happen,
Yeah. What's the secrets from your experience at Omniture, and then we'll move to the next thing.
So one of the secrets that I learned there was, again, Josh is a do epic shit guy. For instance, Josh would come in and he would challenge us. Listen, I want you to go hire the top 2 sales guys from our biggest competitor. And your #1 objective, Rob, isn't what you do sales-wise. I want you to take their top 2 guys, because then we'll get their business and they'll be screwed. And so I had to figure out how to connect with those guys. I mean, Josh has a lot of interesting secrets, but I guess one of the things I would learn is one of the key things that I found was when we were trying to do too many things, we weren't focused and we weren't able to stand for anything. And because we stood for lots of things, we didn't stand for anything. And when Josh got rid of all of that stuff and went all in on the web analytics Omniture piece, that's when they kicked ass. And Josh, I give him credit. He had to go through some hard things to get selling stuff off, had to let some people go. He absolutely did a phoenix out of the ashes. And I tip my cap to that guy.
So it part of the business kind of went to shit, and then he was able to like double down on the one thing that was working to come out of the hell and into the light.
And he did it. And he did it.
And it feels like all these massive success stories, like people have no idea. They see the 1.6 bill, 1.8 bill. It's like, no one knows, like, dude, I've been through hell. You've probably been through hell running your startups. Dude, it's so hard. So hard.
So that's why I left, because he said, if you're going, get out now. And I didn't want to be there anymore. I knew I wanted to do my own thing. That's one of the blessings and a curse as an entrepreneur that you probably relate with, is when you get that bug that you don't want to just work for an entrepreneurial company, you want to do your own thing. You with me?
Yeah. I follow.
And so I left, and we started Allegiance. And Allegiance, I ran it as a CEO for 4 years, and I made a lot of good decisions, and I made some dumb ones. And the dumb one, Brandon, was I raised too much money from too many people. I had 42 investors.
Shit.
42 investors.
Yeah.
So you already know why it sucked. When I tell you that, you know why it ended up sucking.
So you did this. So you left to do the feedback management platform, right? And that was Allegiance.
And then that got bought by Merit CX recently. So if you look at Merit CX, that they bought Allegiance.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, so and you said the biggest thing that you took away from, and Allegiance at the time helped maximize the lifetime value that drive the growth of the company, the people, the human capital, which is really cool. How much money did you end up raising, and like how long did that take? That's like, by the way, that was my hardest sale of my entire, I've done $100 million in deals. The hardest sale I've done was venture capital fundraising.
Yeah. Well, you're right. If someone hasn't done it, they don't know how hard it is. And working with institutional guys versus private placement, I made the decision to all do private placement and get accredited investors for obvious reasons, but piecing these guys together, doing $100,000 at a time.
Doing PPMs and shit. It's terrible.
Yeah. It was. So I ended up spending all my time managing investors.
Yep. Fundraising.
And here's what I learned there, Brandon. I would rather take care of a customer 1,000 times more than take care of an investor. I love my investors. I'm appreciative to them. Pick the right ones, have, the right number of them and the right people. But my time was spent doing investor management all the time. 42 investors. All I was doing was taking phone calls, seeing them, talking to them. I was never working on my business. And it ended up sucking. And so we ended up selling it to a different leadership group. And my co-founder, mentor, stayed there for a while. And that led me to PI. But where it really led me that we should talk about is science. Because I said, I never want to work for a big company. And my mentor said, Rob, you want to be a sales expert. Because I told him, I see sales changing. It was in the early 2000s. I said, I see sales.
Did you make any money off that deal?
Yeah, enough to buy a couple of cars. That's about all. Just to buy.
That's sick. What type of car?
Nothing awesome. It was like I was taking care of my family at the time. So
you bought a bunch of family
I got
cars.
a convertible. I got a convertible Saab. And
well, dude, convertibles are tight.
Yeah, but it's not what I'm going to get next time.
Okay, so your mentor says, I had to ask, right? Your mentor is like, you want to be a sales expert, or you told him that?
Yeah. I said, sales is changing. You watch. I said, it's changing, man. I saw it happening. I said, because primary intelligence was about sales intelligence. And that's where I got in. I was like, I love the sales. I love supporting sales leaders. At primary intelligence, I supported sales leaders. And I said, sales leaders are screwed. I mean, they're in this lonely spot. And they got all the pressure, but they got no resource. Again, remember, it's early 2000s. We don't have a lot for these guys. That's where I met Jim Dickey, who was the founder of CSO Insights. And he knows more about sales leadership than anybody I know. And he put his arm around me. He's like, you're right, it is. I'm going to help you. And he shared a lot of data with me and introduced me to a lot of people. And for whatever reason, we liked each other. And he was very helpful for me in saying,
yeah, we interviewed him. He's awesome, dude. He's a good dude.
He knows so much shit, that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows
so much data.
He's an advisor to my company now. I have a really awesome advisory board, and Jim's one of them.
That's awesome. And he told you, like, hey, if you want to become an expert, go work at Zions?
He said, go to a big company. He said, you have done awesome with small to medium-sized companies. What you did, Sterling Wentworth, your experience at Omniture was awesome, because we hired like 70 people. I had like 70 people that were doing stuff, and we were growing fast.
Insane, man.
Yeah, and so he's like, you've done it. And Allegiance, same thing. It's like, you've got a good enough experience with a startup, but also mid-market size. So if you want to be relevant, you have to be able to say, I sat in the chair of a big company. I said, I don't want to do that. He's like, listen.
Yeah, that was what you were against like forever.
Yeah. He said, Zions is recruiting you right now, because Zions had bought from me 3 times. And they said, everybody that tries to sell to us sucks. We like how you sell to us. We want you to come in and be the head of sales for the whole organization.
Damn, that's huge.
And have our salespeople sell the way you do. Yeah. So
and that was like hundreds of bankers, right? Like you were managing
1,000. Yeah.
So you literally like day one, you finally take the job SVP of sales, and you've got 1,000 bankers, 1,000 salespeople
in 7 lines of business. Yeah.
Oh God, that's a lot of products too.
So they started me with the commercial team first. That's where we started.
Okay.
Get that one going first. And then you have all these other teams. And this is what's so cool. But nobody knows that commercial banking is basically B2B sales to CFOs. Nobody knows that's what it is.
Oh yeah, I see
commercial banking is B2B sales to CFOs, period. And you think about your CFO, what are the things he needs to run your business? That's what bank sells on.
Got it. Wow, that's so cool. And then did they choose commercial just because it was like the largest business unit? Like, do they take you from largest down or what? Okay.
The most dollars. It was the most dollars.
I figured. And work on the one that's bringing in the most amount of money, make it better, and then move to the next.
And so that was awesome. And what it forced me to do was learn how process really works. And, this goes back to my ingenuity. When I was starting Allegiance, I got introduced to another mentor who's now an investor of mine. He's the founder of one of Utah's best private equity funds called Mercado Partners. Greg Warnock was speaking at a VC conference, and I went to it because I saw he was speaking there. I'd identified him as someone that would probably like me and would be a good fit for my company, Allegiance. So I signed up to go to this thing for the sole purpose of being in the room with him. I said, if he's in the room, I'll meet him. I know I'll freaking meet him. There's no way he'll be in the room and I'll be in the room. I don't care how many thousands of people. He's going to leave knowing who I am. And he said something, Brandon, that I think your podcast, your book will like. He said, this was again, early 2000s. He said, how many business plans do you think we have emailed to us through our website? And the answer was like, at that point, they were like an 8-month-old venture firm. It was like 3,000 and change had come in.
My God.
He said, how many do you
3,
think those 3,000 we have funded?
Zero.
You're right. 0. He said, how many do you think I've even met with?
100 maybe?
2.
Really? Because they're cold or why?
Yes, that's why. And here's what he said. This has everything to do with
investors hate cold.
So here's the awesome takeaway from Allegiance. I'm going back and forth. I'm sorry. I'm like everywhere.
No, this is great. Keep rolling.
Bro, this is the thing. This has changed my life. Okay. He said, if you don't have enough network, ingenuity, or work ethic to engineer an introduction to me, then you don't have enough network, ingenuity, or work ethic to run a business that I want a nickel of our money in.
Oh shit, that's fire, dude. You know what? That bit me in the ass. I can 1,000% relate, and it's great. So, and before I mentioned that, so did you went to this event and then you figured out how to connect with him and pitch him?
I said I want to meet you. Here's the funniest story. So I did say I want to pitch you. He was like, let's meet. He goes, he did. He liked me. We connected. There's a lot
because you didn't send a business plan in. You prospected him.
Yeah, but I focused on him too. I said, Greg, I'm Rob. We haven't met. We know so and so and so. So I was like, oh, great. I said, so I'm listening to what you said about network, ingenuity, and work ethic. I said, I'm here to meet you. Okay. So my network, we know these 2 people in common. And the reason that the ingenuity part is, I said, we both like fast cars. And he's like, really? And I said, and I know you like high-end watches. And my brother-in-law is the president of Rolex North America. And so I knew those things about him. Okay. And so, my brother-in-law was the president of Rolex North America at the time. And so we used that as something to talk about. I go and meet him at his house 2 weeks later. He's like, hey, let's do lunch.
Oh, you met him at his house?
Yeah. He invites me to his house. So I go to his house. He says, we're going to go to lunch. And he's going to be mad at me. When he hears this, he's going to be pissed at me for telling me what I'm telling you right now. And Greg Warnock, I love you, dude. And thank you for investing in Xvoyant. But I'm going to share the story because it's too good.
You got to. Yeah, you got to.
He hates it because he thinks it makes him look like a jerk. It's not. This is why I love him, because he's an epic shit guy. Okay?
I love that.
And we're both epic shit guys. And he looked at me. I get to his house. He has the biggest Great Dane you've ever seen. I'm petting this Great Dane. He's like, so let's go eat, man. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I said, I can drive. And he looked at me and he goes, do you drive a Ferrari? I'm like, no. He's like, well, in that case, I'm driving. And
that's so sick. What color was it?
It was a charcoal gray one. And it was a Ferrari Maranello, I think was the model. And,
Oh my God, dude. Did it have a convertible or was it,
the sedan version? And we didn't go to lunch. He took me up the canyons of Utah to the ski resorts, like cornering. He's like, this is how a fast car's supposed to corner. And I'm holding on for dear life going, this is so badass.
This is so epic, dude. That's so epic.
And we drove for 2 hours. We didn't even talk about my business. He wanted to get to know me. And we left with a relationship being started. And he didn't invest in Allegiance. But for the next 20 years, I helped him with his portfolio companies. He helped me by introducing me to people. And when I founded Allegiance, when I founded Xvoyant, he was my guy. And then it was time. Yeah,
dude,
so I love that. If you don't have enough network, ingenuity, or work ethic to get an introduction to a buyer, this applies to sales. This isn't just venture capital. I tell salespeople now, if you don't have enough network, ingenuity, or work ethic to figure out a connection to a potential buyer, you don't have enough network, ingenuity, or work ethic to expect them to give you a meeting, let alone buy from you. So,
dude, I'm writing that down. Network ingenuity or work ethic to figure out how to connect with a buyer. You don't have enough network ingenuity or work ethic to get them to invest a nickel with you.
Exactly.
So true. That bit me in the ass because, I built Seamless.AI, the sales appointment setting automation platform. And I was using it to prospect VCs to show them the power of it.
Yeah.
And it was funny. Like I closed a shitload of VCs. Like I pitched 337 VCs. I have a big roster of investors like you. They don't bother me, which is great. Just because I keep reporting the numbers and they're like, yeah, just keep fucking crushing it. But I lost so many deals because I went after these VCs cold. It's the only business in the world where like, even if you use personalization and all this jazz, like they are scared to invest with people without a referral. It's the only business. Like, I mean, if you're trying to raise millions of dollars, I've raised millions of dollars from cold prospecting. But there's a smarter way to do it that Rob is talking about: network ingenuity, work ethic, mainly network. You got to leverage that network. It took me 3 years to raise millions of dollars.
And so, Brandon, you can break those down. What does my network need to look like? So you're selling appointment setting. So for your people, what does my network need to look like for these buyer personas? What does it need to look like? Okay. What does my work ethic need to look? That's one of my things that is one of my micro laws that I've learned over across of everything, but especially here at Xvoyant. I'm teaching my son that I told you when he was born. I said, don't be average. And he's now graduating from high school. I'm teaching him how to sell. I said, if you're going to be my son, you have got to know how to sell. You don't get to be my boy and not know how to sell.
Hell yeah, dude.
You don't have to be a salesman, but you got to know how. And so I have him working with me doing stuff, and what we found is, I guess I don't know this. He loves this. I said, son, I connect with everyone and our reps connect with everyone in the margins. Success comes in the margins. So it's nights, it's weekends, it's holidays.
Success comes in the margins, dude. I love that.
And you know what he calls it? The beasts come out at night is what he said. Dad, the beasts come out at night.
The beasts come out at night. It's so
he'll call me.
Epic.
I'm like, yeah, I'm getting ready for the night shift. He's like, the beasts come out at night. And it's true. I can't tell you, Brandon, how many people at 9:30 I fire off an email to someone and they respond that fast.
Yeah.
That during the day they won't because they got other stuff going on. Beasts come out at night, bro. That is a great lesson for your people.
Yeah, I love that. That's so fire. I mean, I agree, dude. It's just simple math. I trained my body a decade ago to work 7 days a week, and I don't regret a day. I have zero regrets. The only regret I have is not doing 7 days a week sooner.
Yes.
Sooner. My biggest regret is not cutting the fucking losers out of my life that held me back from accomplishing my goals and dreams. And number 2, not giving it my all every single day of the week for 365 days of the year sooner. My biggest regret.
So you and me,
you're not going to miss. You're not going to miss anything.
But you want to know what you're going to do better than I did, Brandon? Because you figured that earlier in life than I. It took me longer to figure that out. So you're going to beat me. That pisses me.
Well, hopefully people watching this are 21, 22 and they realize it. Because just like you said, when you grew up, sales was bad.
Yeah.
Right? I grew up working hard is bad. My whole 20s were all about you can't work so hard. You're working too much. You should only go 9 to 5. And that was a big thing that held me back from going. I always wanted to go all out, but the fucking public, they keep that shit, be average. They try to keep you to the average, keep you to the norms, and it's not the way to do it.
So you're now hitting into like my early days as a salesperson that taught me to love sales. Okay. My middle days taught me that sales leaders were underserviced, but the end of my cycles, which I'm not there yet, I feel like I'm never better than right now. I'm in my prime, brother. And
that's awesome.
And I'm telling you right now, all those lessons I've learned have made it so I know, and then some matters. The beasts come out at night. Success comes in the margins. As a salesperson, as a leader. So for me, it's the walk to the parking lot with my reps or my head of tech. It's those marginal conversations. It's the and then some moments. But it's work ethic, network, ingenuity. I didn't know those things. And the last, as I look at this, if I hadn't taken those things and said, I will go to the big company because I now get to report to Wall Street. I now have a multiple billion-dollar number. I'm now leading 4 digits of salespeople.
I've never had $1 billion. I mean, now I got $1 billion number, but I never had $1 billion. Dude, what is it like having $1 billion sales?
On January 1st, it sucks. Okay. Because let me tell you the worst thing, Brandon, you bust your ass and you crush it and you get everyone there. Because for me, it wasn't like for me, and this gets into what really drives me now. It's my career said, look past the number. It was not just hit the $1.8 billion. The $1.8 billion was awesome. I was responsible for over $2 billion annually at that organization.
It's insane, man. It's such a big number.
You go through it and you get to the point where 72% of those people are hitting goal. That's amazing for that many people. 72% of those people are hitting goal because we had built such a great leadership process. And we'll talk about that in a minute if you want to, but
hell yeah.
Here's what sucks. You crush, you get there, December 31st comes, the ball falls, champagne's flowing, everyone's doing what they're going to do. January 1st rolls, you're watching great football games, second hits, and you go to Salesforce and you hit it, and it says
zero. Yeah, zero. Absolutely zero. Nothing.
And I'm like, I got to get to $1.8 billion this year in just the commercial team, and I got to get to here on the retail team, and I've got to get to here on the treasury management team, and I've got to get over here on the wealth management team, and you get what I'm saying. And that was a different challenge than just having a sales team.
So you were responsible for $2 billion at Zions. You were there for over a decade, dude. What are the biggest successes and failures, micro secrets, over that period of time? And then that could transition us to HireVue and Xvoyant.
Yeah. So here's what I learned. I went there saying, I'm a tech guy going to a bank and I'm scared shitless. Okay.
Yeah.
I was scared
just because it's slow, or why were you scared
boring?
shitless?
I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be boring.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it as a B2B play to CFOs. I didn't look at it that way. And I thought I was going to slowly die. And they said, for us to have you come in here and run the whole thing, we need at least a 3-year commit out of you because we're nervous that you're going to go back to tech fast. And so I said, wow. 3 years sounds like a long freaking time, man. And so I did it. But here's what I learned as a leader.
What does that mean when someone says you got to do it? What if you break the commit? Can you keep someone locked into a commit like that?
But I'm that guy. I mean, I looked him eyeball to eyeball, and it's not like I had a contract I had to be there. Said, we just need to know, Rob, if you're going to come, we need to know that you're here for, because here's why. It's going to take you a year to learn how to speak bank. Okay?
Oh gosh, yeah, a while.
It's going to take you a year to learn how to speak bank. And by the way, that's paid huge dividends now, Brandon. Now, one of my customer segments is financial institutions. We help the biggest financial institutions in the United States. They're my customers. Comerica Bank and Zions. Awesome. And I got the biggest banks. They're my customer. And part of it is I speak their language. But what I invented when I was there, won 15 Stevie Awards. It was profiled by CEB as one of the best practices in financial institutions. Yeah, Salesforce said it was the top install in all of the Salesforce instances worldwide.
So nuts, man. That's so badass.
And if I don't do that, these things don't happen for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't have that big giant stage that everybody says, oh, that was one of those too big to fail banks. Brandon, I was running sales when the TARP program came out and the government pulled us in and said, you're taking the money where you want it or not. We said, we don't need your money. We don't want your money. They said, you're taking it and you're going to pay a shitload of interest to the U.S. taxpayers. And I went through a really interesting challenge on how do you go with the economy tanking and then you pull it back out and you come back stronger.
That's crazy. That's awesome, man. So what
what do you learn? So here's what I learned.
Yeah. What did you learn?
Yeah. So your first question that you should ask me is, why in the hell did you stay there 10 years when you only had to stay 3? That's the first question you should ask.
Okay? Good question. Why'd you stay?
Okay. Because they kept changing the challenge every year. And I got addicted to the zeros because very quickly I found it was every bit.
Zeros.
Yeah, I was. I mean, they pay you well and chasing $1.8 billion. When you go into a meeting with sales leaders, let me tell you one of the things that always happens when I would go to these things with CEB and I would speak at Dreamforce all the year. And so I get invited to a lot of things because I ran sales for one of the biggest financial institutions in the country.
Yeah.
And you get in a room and you want to know what game sales leaders often play with each other? It's whose is bigger. And what I'm talking about is whose number is bigger, okay?
Yeah.
And I almost always was at the top of that heap. All right, I got to do 2.4 billion.
Dude, that's such a big number, dude.
I got to do 2.
I'm so jealous. Like I've done $100 million in deals and now I'm like, fuck, man, I got to do a bill.
2.4 annually, okay? And so I look around and say, yeah, it's, no big deal. We did 2.3 last year. We know how we're going to do it. And they're like, is this guy for real or is he just an asshole? And it's probably both, a little bit of asshole on me, but also for real. And so it was awesome because they kept changing the challenge. So they said, here's what we need you to do this time. Here's what we need to do now. And the thing I learned, Brandon, that was so awesome, I had to learn how to scale. Before I just had to learn how to have small business work. But with 8 to 10 reps, I can be close to all of them. I can make sure it works.
Yep.
But with 1,000, you got to have systems. And here's where I learned one of my very favorite sayings. This is from the guy who's the cartoonist that does Dilbert. And my man, Ralph Barcy, who, if you haven't had him on, you should.
Yeah, we had him on. He's baller, dude. He's awesome.
One of my favorite guys. He says this too. So he may have said this to you. He said it on my podcast. Losers have goals. Winners have systems. Okay.
Yeah, I think he said that on ours.
He probably did. Okay. I'm a believer. So it comes from the Dilbert guy. And winners have systems. So it wasn't enough. The bank pushed out a goal to everyone. And everybody would bitch, oh, the goal's too high. We're the number 1 market share. And Zions Bancorp, most people don't know, they own 8 banks. We're Amegy Bank of Texas. We're California Bank and Trust. We're Zions Bank in Utah. We're all these big banks. You get this goal. Everybody bitches about it. You got to move past the more button and get into the how button. And the faster a leader moves from more to how, the more likely they are to win. And so I had to learn.
You mean like the leader helps the team figure out how versus more. Yeah. I always worked with shitty leaders that always wanted more. I mean, half my career I worked with leaders like more.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, how? How the hell? Then I worked with leaders who always strategized with me on the how, and we crushed it. Way more than the leaders on the more.
But how do you do that for 1,000 people, bro? How do you do that?
I don't know. You gotta tell me, like, what moves the needle, like, to do 1 billion to 2 billion, 2 billion to 2.7 billion, like, how do you do the scale, and like, what do you change, and what do you do, and what do you create?
Percentage of people that are winning. That's what it is it's one person at a time. And so if we have 180 leaders, think about that. We have 180 leaders. With leaders under them, and you can see how it scales down.
Yeah.
And you have to make one of the key things, not just you're going to hit your number, but we want X percent of your bankers getting there. Okay. Let me give you an example. One of our customers now, we've taken that approach. How do you get past chasing a number? If you can chase individual improvement, like the question I love to ask sales leaders and sales orgs right now, and I love it because you can tell I'm passionate about sales leaders. Like sales leaders, man. How many times, Brandon, you're doing it, so you'll relate to what I'm saying. You've had a career of selling. How often do you sell to people that are you, right? How often do you get to do that? All of my customers here at Xvoyant, and we have a team that's selling. We got thousands of reps being led by thousands of leaders around the world right now, 19 countries around the world, and every one of my customers is a sales leader that has a big number to hit. Yep. They feel on their own. They feel the more button getting pushed all the time, and they're like, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And we come and say, we're going to give you a tool to make the one-on-one your most strategic tool. So if you can have your one-on-one help your lead reps understand how to create purpose-driven activities, because you know this, A leads to R. Activities lead to results.
Yeah.
When the R
daily activities, daily results.
So when the R goes to capital R, meaning I got to go to 2 billion instead of 1 billion. Yeah. Or it doesn't matter. I got to go to 2 million instead of 1 million, but you can't go double the size of your team, right? Now that's the interesting thing. You're not going to get to go you got 20% growth, but you don't get 20% more headcount.
Yeah, like I'm trying to 10x the business right now in a year.
You're not going to 10x your guys right now.
Right, exactly. So I'm not going to 10x my team. I want to 10x the revenue. What would you do given your experience at HireVue, Xvoyant's, Primary?
Yeah, so I would have to learn a little more before I would have to know. There's a couple things I would look at, but here's what the first thing I wouldn't do. I wouldn't 10x the A. If activities yields results, 10x the activities does not necessarily mean 10x the results. That would be the first thing I would say be careful about.
Okay.
Because that's how you start losing people. That's a morale problem recipe right there.
Oh yeah, you mean if you're making 100 calls now you got to make 1,000? Like It's not possible. That doesn't work.
But guess what? A lot of people, they may say 1,000 doesn't work, but let's get to 500. That's what they may say. And all that does is create morale problems. It creates shitty work. And what I found is purpose-driven activities is the secret to scale. And if you can help lead as a leader, if you can help every rep understand, and it's really easy to do, you start saying, let's stay in the results swim lane. Are you getting what the company wants you to get? If yes, then go here. Are you getting what you want to get? If yes, go here. Can we quantify it as the process? And that's what I learned. I invented a way where you could individualize process for each person. So you could calculate 4 things. So results can be good or bad, and my process can be good or bad. And if results are bad and process is bad, Brandon, we would actually tell that rep, that banker, you got what you deserved, okay? Don't feel bad. Your results are bad. Your process isn't what you want. You're in the deserve category. Don't feel bad until you change the process. It ain't going to change unless results are good and process is bad. That's called getting lucky, okay? So we literally call it that. And we've automated all this in our tech now because those things that we won all those awards at Xvoyant and we won all those awards from Salesforce came in and said, you should start a company around this because we see all these things. And so I automated that system I built at Xvoyant. It took me 10 years to build, billions and billions of dollars of revenue, 72% of the people on my team hitting goal. When I left, HireVue brought me in because they wanted me to build a coach tool and launch it. They built it. They wanted me to launch it. I told them I'm here for a year max because I'm starting Xvoyant. And so they said, we'll take you as a loaner, help us get it off the ground. And but I wanted my system of individualization at scale. That's what Xvoyant gives you, is individualized one-on-ones at scale.
Like individualized one-on-one coaching at scale?
So we can say, so for any of your reps, here's one of the problems that we make. We as leaders, especially if you have lots of people, we have like flavor of the month. I want everyone to do more of this, or we really need to get after this. And what I found is coaching and leading by averages, Brandon, is like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Sometimes it's too hot. Sometimes it's too cold, and only rarely is it just right. And our job as leader, if we want to do epic shit, we got to be dialed into every person. And if we can help them know this is your purpose-driven activity. So any activity should do one of 2 things, Brandon. It either tunes your individual sales engine, because I don't care what B2B you are, it has 4 pistons. Everything runs off of more opportunities, more revenue per customer, more win rate, and more speed. So you better know what activities make each of those 4 pistons work.
Oh, hold on. What were those 4 pistons? So more opportunities?
Number of opportunities.
More revenue
per customer. So deal size or multiple products, whatever it is. Win rate and speed. Those are the only 4. And if you have someone that says, well, we have 6 or 8 cylinder engine, you're wrong. It's those 4. And you might have other things. It comes down to getting more opportunities, or it comes down to getting more revenue per customer.
Which one do you think is the most important out of the 4 pistons?
They're all important, dude, because
but if you had to increase one,
I would always pick win rate.
Okay.
Because if I can win 30% more, so I'm a Seamless customer, I got 10 leads, and if my win rate's 30%, that's awesome. But if I can win 30% more and win an additional 2 out of those 10, that's almost immediate. And if you go to my man and your man, Jim Dickey, he'll tell you the fastest way to change corporate valuation is win rate.
Okay. Awesome, man. Win rate. That's good to know. And you were talking about, so you have to have systems, you had to learn how to scale it at Xvoyant's bank. Like to go from 1 to 2.7, like you said something about like getting the right people. Was it like the biggest thing to add 500 million or $1 billion? Like is it writing sales scripts? Is it firing the losers and hiring more winners? Like it's just such a long, successful career. Like I'm just trying to understand, like the 3 things that you did to max out at the 2.8 bill, like just so I can personally understand, and probably the audience.
So the focus should be not how many dollars do I do, because the 80-20 rule is alive and well. 20% of your guys are doing 80% of your business. You'll have a handful of people that are kicking ass, and then you'll have the other people that you're hoping you can just have them come along. The number one thing you want to do is improve the percentage of people that are hitting goal. So if you can, instead of looking at a binary, hitting goal, not hitting goal, turn it into a segmentation. So hitting goal is like a core performer. We want to create an environment where the average performer is a goal hitter, but then the stars, literally call it that, core, high core star, core, low core poor. We want you to be targeting becoming a star in our organization, okay? And so when you start having, I'm thinking of one team that's a customer now that is, I can share it because we share the story at Zion's. One of Zion's sales teams, they're our customer, 50 reps on this team. Last year, Brandon, in 2018, the EVP, she leads this team. She's a fantastic leader. She beat her goal by 20%. But here's where the problem was. Only 22% of her 50 were hitting goal. So think about that. So most of her people, 30 plus of her people, were not even close.
Wow, we're not hitting.
So imagine what that does for your company if you can go from 22% quota attainment to 50.
I mean, you crush it.
You double your output.
Yeah.
So the president of the bank came back to her last year and it's like, I'm going to set your goal based on 50% quota attainment next year, which I still don't think is enough, he said, because he remembered the days when we were at 72.
Yeah.
And so she got this double goal, and we instantly, now with this mindset, the 3 things you asked for. So first, when you have the segmented mindset of, we want to take everyone on a journey. So if you are poor, get to low core. If you're low core, get to core. If you're core, get to high core. If you're high core, get to star. That's what it is right now. And if we can do that with every single person on the team and have everyone improve by doing, which now what we're going to get into is purpose-driven activities. We don't chase deals.
Okay.
Do you know the activities that change your process? Process comes down to start enough dollars with enough companies and do it fast enough. If I can calculate how much deal flow Brandon should have versus Rob, you may have a higher win rate and higher deal size, so you may need to start fewer number of deals than me.
True.
So if we can calculate that individually and say, Rob, you need this much, and Brandon, you need this much, based on your current skill set.
Yep.
Let's figure out how you win with your current skill set. That's when you start saying, okay, well then I need to get more opportunities. Here are the activities, do those. And we set goals around them. So that's the first thing, coach to process. Second thing, Brandon.
Coach to process. Got it.
Second thing, track coachability. My company now is the only company in the world that measures coachability. Nobody else.
Oh shit, dude. That's one of my core values. So, I hire a lot for grit. So positivity, hard work, and coachability.
Love it.
I think with those 3, you could, and intelligence, but the intelligence, I was never the smartest guy in the room. So I think with hard work, coachability, and positivity, you could learn a lot of things. Like, how do you track coachability?
It's easier
because I try to figure this out all the time. Like, I don't know how to hire someone for being coachable.
So let's go back to process. So we have a process quadrant. I told you, deserved is one, lucky is the other. Yep. Over here, if your numbers are weak but your process is good, we say be patient. Whatever you do, don't stop doing what you're doing because it's working. Give it time, right?
Yep.
The last is numbers are good, process is good. That's called earned. Not only you're crushing, but you're set up for more. And you adopt the mindset of being on the right side that says process is strong. I don't care about outcomes right now. Focus on process. Get everybody on your team in this place where process is strong. Because do you know who Tom House is?
Tom House. It sounds familiar.
Sports guy. So he is Tom Brady's quarterback coach. He's Drew Brees' quarterback coach.
I love Tom Brady. I'm the GOAT, dude. I was so happy he won, and I'm just a fan, dude. I work almost as hard as him. I may work as hard as him, but I'm nowhere near his skill set.
That's one of the reasons I love his story. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. Haters hate all you want. That guy's story is unbelievable.
Dude, you got to follow the winners. If you want to be a winner, follow the winners.
Totally agree. His quarterback coach is Tom House. Tom House was a major league pitcher that got into being a quarterback coach.
So random.
It is. My son is a high school quarterback, and I got him in with Tom House. So he's was being coached by Tom House.
Damn, dude.
And
that's insane.
Tom House is all about process. I never forget the first time he watched my son throw a football. He didn't even want to watch where he watched my son throw, and he goes, "You missed the target to the left, right?" And Baylor's like, "What?" He's like, "Throw another one." He goes, "You missed to the left again, right?" And he never watched where the ball went, but he watched the process so closely. He knew when it left his hand what was going to happen.
Holy cow.
He gave me a statement that was another life changer. So I gave you the one about ingenuity that was a life changer. Here's another one that's a life changer. If process is good, success is inevitable. If process is weak, success is unsustainable. And I sat there, I said, holy shit, I'm running sales.
Can you say that again? Yep. If process is strong?
If process is strong, success is that's right. And if process is weak, it's unsustainable.
Wow.
So you go from inevitable to unsustainable based on process. Okay. So that's different than just work harder. That's why you say, don't just do the big A. You want to make sure it's process driven, because he was looking at where your foot landed and he was looking at what the drive off the back was. He was looking where the pronation, what the thumb was. And I said, I'm a sales leader, and he just taught me something about sales. I went on the drive back from that trip to Tom House, and I built my whole sales leadership system based on, if process is strong, success is inevitable. If process is weak, success is unsustainable. And our job as leaders, isn't it this simple, Brandon, to create success in a sustainable and predictable way?
Yeah. I wouldn't call it easy, but you can.
That's what it comes down to. We have to be predictable, and we have to be sustainable. We have to be.
Predictable, scalable, repeatable, sustainable, 100%.
And the only way to do it is you better know what the individual process for the individual rep is, or else you're playing Goldilocks and the Three Bears, my friend. You are.
Dude, that's amazing. So I'm getting yelled at by Phil because he's got another game changer on later. So I've got 12 minutes to dive in. This was incredible. But so now we got to get into the final secret.
Let's do it.
Sales secrets from the top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Rob Jeppsen, if you had to go back in time to when you first started in sales, what is your number one top sales secret? If you had to hire someone, write down something on a piece of paper, your top secret to give to them, and it was the one thing on the one piece of paper, the 80-20 rule, you name it, the one thing to maximize their sales success, what would that be? And I want to know the what, the why, and how people can execute. We'll dive into each of those.
It's simple. There's a lot of things you got to do to be successful, as you know, and there are no silver bullets. So whenever your people are reading this, I hope they know you got to string these secrets together, okay? But here's the one that has helped me more than anything else. I call it dollarizing, okay? Dollarization. A salesperson very rarely, if we try to change someone's priorities, you're probably going to crash and burn. We have to tie to their priorities. And here's what I found. You can only be valuable two ways, Brandon. You can solve a problem someone cares about, or achieve a result someone cares about. And it's not that it's a problem or a result, it's that they care about it, okay? So as a salesperson, when I get someone to tell me what they care about, and there's a whole bunch of ways to do that, then I go into dollarization mode. This is how you stay relevant and impactful. This has helped thousands of salespeople. I'm excited to share it here, okay?
This is so good.
Dollarization is this simple. You ask them 5 questions. What is it? Meaning, what is it you want to get great at? Okay. What's the value of it? So what's the problem you want to solve, or the result you want to achieve is what is it? What's the value of it today? What do you want it to be? What's the value of the difference? What's the value of the difference over time? Those 5 things. And so if I understand that, now I know what their priority is. I know why they're working on it. I know what the current state is. I know what the future state is. I know what the value of the difference is immediately and over 3 years. Okay. If that number, Brandon, is small, like let's say I come up with something that says it's a $5 million problem we're talking about, but it's a $500 million company. I'm like, Brandon, what am I missing? I don't understand. What am I missing here? Because for a company your size, this doesn't seem like this would be a priority for you right now. What's killer about that is then they give you way more information. But also what's killer is when you dollarize, it often gets bigger than they even think. And you now can create impact where you say, I understand we're only in the business of solving big problems. I could do it right now with what you do with Seamless.AI. What's your conversion rate look like? Okay, so you're working on conversion rate, or you don't have enough direct dials. Okay, what do you need it to be right now? What is it right now? Oh, Rob, it's like we have this abysmal 3% or whatever. Great, what would you like it to be? Anything would be better than that, but if we could be in that 10%, that would be killer. All right, what does that do for you? If that happens, what's the value of that? So many times, Brandon, they haven't ever dollarized themselves. And when you take them through that, they thank you because you've now given them a way to win internally. And then when you say, and if you could do that sustainably over whatever period of time before you change, I found that dollars, my company Xvoyant was built on that. I went to people on, percent hitting quota is what we started with. What's your percent hitting quota? What do you want it to be? What's the value of that immediately if you do it? What happens this year? What happens over 3 years? Okay. And the biggest companies, like big enterprise companies, they bought fast because we dollarized it. Okay.
Oh, dollarize. So you're dollarizing. Don't change the priority, change a problem someone cares about. And the five things, the 5 ways to dollarize, help someone solve a problem someone cares about. Or I'm sorry, what is the problem you want to solve?
What is it?
What is the value today? What do you want it to be tomorrow? And then what were the next 2?
What's the value of the difference immediately? And what's the value of the difference over time?
Okay.
Now that sets up 2, that's your impact questions. That sends up 3 urgency questions. Okay, when do you want this to happen by? What happens if you do, and what happens if you don't?
Got it.
It's awesome. And you know what? The best thing is not only does it create urgency, and as a salesperson, I want urgency. I want a fast no way more than a long drawn out yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay? No time to waste.
This gives me a way to know and create all kinds of ones. When I dollarize, everything good happens because a good to me is a fast no. Okay.
And the dollarize is like building out the ROI business case, right?
Well, no. I'm glad you said that. ROI says, what do you get after our investment? We're dollarizing the value of the improvement. That's a big difference. Okay. It has nothing to do with our product. We aren't pitching our product. We haven't ever even said what we do. We say, this is your current state. Pick a problem or pick whatever you want to get better at. And I think too many people don't really understand and immerse themselves in that challenge right now.
Yeah.
I honestly, too many. I see it happen all the time. I've been on thousands of calls with thousands of reps and in all kinds of industries. One of the things that customers ask me is they like me to listen to calls. And we try to teach people to dollarize. If you can slow down and say, what are your priorities? Understand the priorities. Attach yourself to a priority and then dollarize it. What is it? What's the value today?
Can you assume okay, so you help sales leaders, right? Yep. Do one-to-ones and coach their reps and maximize sales performance of their reps, right? Like you can assume, Brandon, you want to do those 4 things, right? I want more ops. I want to increase my win rate. I want to more revenue per customer, and I want faster speed. Like, I feel like you can make the assumption that every sales leader freaking wants that.
But that does you no good when you do that. So back in the world of you're solving a problem that they care about and you're achieving a result that they care about.
Yeah.
What's the only way you know that they care about it, Brandon? There's only one way. Assumptive, I'll tell you, making the assumption is a big mistake.
Okay. So you're saying you got to ask. You got to ask.
They got to tell you with their own mouth. If it does not cross their lips, if they don't say it, you don't have the right to solve it.
I was about to say, yeah. So tell us how the audience can, and the way that I'm naming this secret, you have to dollarize the deal. Is that a good headline?
I love
you have to dollarize the deal.
Yeah.
So
double D's. I like double D's.
You just said the what. You said the why. How the hell does the audience dollarize the deal?
So first you have to get comfortable with that structure. It's a simple 5-step thing that you're not going to have a list in front of you. Just get good at the business acumen. Okay, why? You say it's a priority, but why? Okay.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
Why is that a priority? And if they say, well, just because, we'll say, so what is it you're trying to, so you're, pick something, forecast accuracy. Okay. So your forecast accuracy is something you're working on. What is it today? It's 43%. What do you want it to be? Accurate. Okay. Well, what does accurate mean for you?
Right.
You see, it creates this awesome dialogue. And my advice is sit on the product. Don't ever show a product till you know you were solving a badass problem and you know why it fits. Because I love telling my customers, we are going to solve problems that matter. And if we can't solve a big problem, we're going to move along. You'll never have to kick us out. Okay. If it's not a big problem, you don't need us because we're in the big problem. We do epic shit, right? We solve big problems for people.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when I come back and say, this doesn't seem like a big problem. Why are you spending time on it? They say, oh, Brandon, or oh, Rob, what you don't know is this, this, and this. So my advice to the listeners and the readers, slow down, understand that it's not enough to know what the priority is, but it's more important to know why it matters and what the impact to the organization is. Because if you can be someone that helps be the engineer of high impact things, now you're the engineer of epic shit, brother.
That's so good. Any other recommendations for the how, in addition to like obviously asking all these questions, really diving into understanding the priority, the business impact, and then I guess what do you do once you have that info, right? Like I'm thinking of like, how do I apply this tomorrow, right now, to maximize sales? So they tell me I want to increase appointments booked, right? I'm the CEO of Seamless.AI. I'm like, okay, great. We find out that.
What are your appointments right now? How many are you getting right now?
Yeah. Okay.
Say, I'm getting this many. Great. How many do you think they should be getting? Okay. This is also important, Brandon, because you're going to be able to set expectations. You want to manage what the realistic expectations look like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Say, I actually think we should get this. Okay. If they were to get this, what does that do for you? And sales and pipeline. Well, the pipeline should look like this. And if we take it with our normal win rate, it should be this. All right. And if we did that over the year or maybe over 2 or 3 years, because you say, hey, we want to be in business with you for the long haul. You're going to sign an annual. Forget about an annual. Let's get to sign a 3-year contract, right? And it's actually not as hard to do as you think. I can't tell you how many of my customers sign multi-year, not because I asked for it, but because we dollarize it annually in the first place. You see what I'm saying?
And when you say you dollarize it, so like they tell me all of that info, right?
Yep.
And then like, how do you tie your solution into that to get the deal and dollarize the deal?
So I'm going to tell you how. The other question you asked that I'll give you in 30 seconds. Your listeners and your readers, immerse yourself in the personas you sell to. Make sure, like if we're doing appointments, you better know all the metrics around appointments. If you can't speak that language, then you don't have enough of those network worth ethic and ingenuity to expect them to work with you. You better be able to speak their language. If you can't speak their language, you are screwed. Okay. Now, how do you do it? You get that information and you want to make sure that you understand, these things. So you're looking for this kind of a improvement. And then you look at it and say, we've helped a number of people do that. And as I listen to what you're looking for, you seem like a really good candidate for us to show you. So my question is, if we could show you how you could do this in a reasonable amount of time, what's your interest level? And they're like, Rob, I'm on the phone with you for that reason. I said, great. Well, let's move forward. So I use that as a bridge to get like a pre-commitment on what's your interest. If we could do that, what does it do for you?
Awesome. And then like if you're at the latter stages of the, I love that, by the way, that's genius. Now, if you're at the latter stage of the deal, you got the DMs, you got the users, the influencers, everyone's in on the pitch and then you get that info and it's like, it's pitch time. How do you get that?
Yep. So at the end, it's totally different. The way you dollarize has to start early. And at the end, you're getting people to buy in on it. So at that point, you're giving proof. Towards the end, you're not dollarizing anymore. You start with it. We started. So when I'm doing that at the end, I start everything with, when I work with your team, we've identified that this is what we're working on. Is there anything outside of that we should start? They say, the reason for today is we're giving proof that we can do this in a way that makes sense in your organization.
I love it, dude. I love it.
And so I use it as a proof. And we've done all these things. Today is about proof for these things, these assumptions that we've made. And I'm telling you, it works. Here's the other thing it does for you, Brandon. I'm sure you've seen this in your listeners. Well, at the end, you know what the real common thing at the end is? They come back and try to beat you up on price, right? At the very end.
Yeah.
They think they know that I got you. We're ready to go. Oh, Brandon.
But I only got this budget.
Yeah. So you know what I do? I don't ever react. I say, oh, that's too bad. I thought we were solving an X $1 million problem. And they say, we are. So if you think that this little amount is too much to invest for this big of a problem, what do you think the appropriate investment is to solve that problem? And I shut up and I look at him like I'm looking at you right now. What's the appropriate investment to solve this problem? Now, if you only have this much, let's solve a smaller problem. Maybe we should do that. We can try and solve a smaller problem.
That's funny. And maybe we could set the goal real low then.
Yeah, let's solve a smaller problem. So maybe this is the enterprise. If you really only have this much, that's how you figure it out. If they're just trying to beat you up, well, we're solving this problem. What's the right investment? I can't tell you how many. When I started this company, people were like, "Oh, Rob, your $30 a month is too high. It's $360 per salesperson annually. It's too much." I'm like, okay, so
like, this is stupid. Hey, guys like you and me talking about those numbers, the high transaction numbers, it drives me nuts. So you're like, dude, are you for real right now?
Yeah,
you're dropping $100,000 on a rep, and you like don't want to spend $30 for performance management or $100 to get unlimited leads. What are you, crazy?
Exactly right. And so that's why if you dollarize early, it takes that off the table late.
I love that. Wow, Rob, this has been incredible, man. Sales secret. You have to dollarize the deal. I've got literally like 25 pages worth of notes. It's been incredible, man. We're getting into back-to-back interviews here. Yep. Where can the audience subscribe, learn, connect, follow you for more?
Hit me on LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn. Do a lot of videos, share a lot of best practices for reps and leaders. Check us out at xvoyant.com, xvoyant.com. We give away a ton of stuff to salespeople because we're like you, Brandon. We care about the sales profession. Like, it's been so good to me. I want to give back. Hit us up on LinkedIn. Hit us up at xvoyant.com. And as I say to everyone, brother, happy selling.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. Our team, my community has learned so much from you and is going to learn and get so much value out of this Sales Secrets interview. And for the audience, go follow Rob Jeppsen on LinkedIn. He's epic. He does epic shit on LinkedIn. And everyone tuning in, thank you for joining this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%, where the world's best sales experts share their secrets to sales success. Order a copy of the book at secretsalesbook.com. That's secretsalesbook.com, secretsalesbook.com. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Sales Secrets from the Top 1%. We release new episodes every Monday and Thursday, so make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to never miss an episode.